Welcome to Looking at Lucasfilm, the podcast with a different perspective on the world of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and all of the other entities that George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, and the rest of the team at Lucasfilm have dreamed up over the past 40 years. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and my co-host, the one, the only Dan Z. He and I are recording this on Wednesday, November 13th, which is the day after Disney Plus, the company's new subscription streaming service, debuted. Which means that Dan and I have now both had the opportunity to see episode 1 of The Mandalorian, the first ever Star Wars live action series. So, cut to the chase, Dan. What'd you think?
Disney Plus of The Mandalorian, because I could actually talk to you for an hour about the world according to Jeff Goldblum. I love that. But The Mandalorian was wonderful. I've seen it 5 times now, and I can't get enough of it.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, this is a brand new thing, but I love the throwbacks to the original trilogy. I mean, things like how, the prisoners are transported when they're in carbonite, or, little things like that gatekeeper droid with the eye stalk that came out of the wall, just like it did at Jabba's palace. And
Same dialogue, too, by the way.
Was it really? Oh,
yeah. Beat by beat. I'm sure it was the same exact sound from the movie.
I love that. I also loved that so many people in this world that, this post-Empire world that really, are living on the fringes, spoke Huttese, with the notion, which sort of gave you a sense of how far into lawlessness, things have gotten, post Return of the Jedi. I even liked how they folded in the television stuff. I mean, the reference to Life Day, or, that there were blurgs on this planet.
Yeah, and that's I just did a piece for IGN that aired today that they were recording this about sort of some of the vernacular of the Mandalorian and the creatures and the different things and where they've come from. Mm-hmm. Those blurgs are from the Clone Wars, and a little bit in Rebels, but mostly in the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. And they reference a mythosaur, which is that giant creature that Boba Fett rides in the holiday special. There's probably 4 or 5 references to the holiday special in this thing.
Oh, God.
Which I got to say I enjoyed quite a bit more than I expected. And I will say I've been a little lukewarm on this thing from day one, just because I thought we just didn't need more. We don't need nihilism in Star Wars. But it's not like that at all. And I like that this character actually has some heart, and he's not just some silent gunslinging mystery man, but he's actually got empathy in him, and he's kind when he needs to be, but he's also ruthless. And I was extremely intrigued, so much so that I've incorporated a lesson right away from my mythology students, where we're writing an essay on the influences of other mythologies in this, and what this says about heroism in the time period and why that might be. So we're having fun with it.
Well, that's great to hear. And look, we can't really talk about the last 30 seconds because
no, I don't want to. Yeah.
So few people have actually seen this, but that was kind of an intriguing twist, don't you think?
Oh gosh, it was goosebump inducing and a literal jaw dropping moment. Yeah, I can't wait till people see it, because oh my, really, oh my, what can you say?
Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, we're going to table discussing that for at least a couple episodes. Going to give you all a chance to check it out. It's too good. Don't want to spoil it.
It was well, no, I almost ruined it again. I was going to make a Drew Taylor joke, but I won't, because I don't want to ruin what happened.
Okay. All right. Turning now to Star Wars Resistance. Caught the most recent episode from Beneath, and I got to say, kind of a meh episode. I mean, I get that. In fact, just speaking of Drew Taylor, kudos to him. Kudos to you to breaking the whole Orca and Flicks are a couple story. But I got to tell you, I didn't think this episode was as exciting or as intriguing as the previous week's show, The Engineer, and even that one with Nina's storyline. I honestly wish that had been spread out over a couple of episodes instead of rushed through in one.
Well, I think they've got some things in mind, because they've got a short amount of time to get through a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why it was nice to get to see those other two. And by the way, it was kind of you to say so, but the kudos all go to Drew. That was his question that he asked at that junk that he covered for me for season 2 of Star Wars Resistance, where they revealed officially that they have the first openly gay couple on screen in Star Wars. So that was all him.
Okay.
So that was, it got picked up. I think we talked about this before by, so many different huge outlets, Vanity Fair, Entertainment Weekly, and stuff. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It was a different paced one, but the last couple have been a little more intense. It looks like next week's, my gosh, from the footage we've seen, it almost looks like they're going to Batuu. Did you get that as well?
Oh, really? No, I missed that. But let's face it, what with the news of, back on August 19th that, Star Wars Resistance is out after just 2 seasons. I mean, it's not like Dave Filoni has the luxury, like he did with Star Wars Rebels, of stretching out the story over 4 seasons. He's really running for the curtain at this point.
Right.
Speaking of which, though, did you see that great interview in Vanity Fair about Dave? Or?
Yes, Anthony Breznican did a wonderful piece, which I thought was great, because we know, you and I and Star Wars fans know how important Dave is, but maybe the general public doesn't quite aware of the impact that this man has. It was very, very well deserved. A wonderful piece.
And just doubling back for a second here, I mean, Dave has been basically specializing for years in, directing on the animation side. But I got to say, for, the work he did he directed the first episode of The Mandalorian. And it's like, man, this guy's got live action chops. I can't wait to see what he does going forward here.
Oh, I agree. He is the sky's the limit for this guy. And he is, we had, I know I mentioned this before too, but his interview that he had was on our show and a couple of other Star Wars podcasts, where the way everyone talks about him and his jump from animation to live action and learning about different things, like, in the DP will say, yeah, this is a great idea, but the sun's going down, so we got to be careful. In animation, I can do these other things. But when you're watching that first episode, it doesn't come across as a first-time director. It comes across as a seasoned veteran.
Oh, no. That's exactly it. It's very assured, pacing-wise, beautifully composed shots. I mean, it's good stuff. Anyway, double back quickly to Star Wars Resistance here.
Sure.
We've got 2 episodes left before the winter break. We've got, you'd mentioned the one coming up that's possibly set at Batuu, the Relic Raiders, which drops on the 17th, and then Rendezvous Point on the 24th. And then, like I said, they go on their winter break. Kind of intriguing to me that this time around we only got 8 episodes before they went to winter break. First season we got 10. And if the pattern holds, Star Wars Resistance will be back with new episodes in mid-January of 2020. By the way, folks, if you haven't caught Rise of Resistance yet, what's kind of cool is that Disney Plus has the entire first season archived over there. So you can catch up pretty quickly, by just dropping by there, at least on season 1. On the other hand, folks who were sort of digging around the first day that Disney Plus was up and running, there were a number of folks who decided they'd go check out New Hope. And did you hear about how Greedo now has some last words?
Yes, and apparently this was something George had wanted before the Disney acquisition. Oh boy, what do you think? I just kind of rolled my eyes. I thought, because when you first read the announcement, Disney changed something to the sequence where Han and Greedo face off in the canteen. You think, oh my gosh, they've restored balance to the Force. But no, they've added more nonsensical, unimportant things to it. And I mean, I guess the plus side is that they're in 4K, and that that's a glorious thing. That's a wonderful thing. And I have yet to check it out on my TV here in the basement, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's I feel like George is that guy, who's got, ever, been with somebody who, can't leave the living room alone. Every time you go to the house, the furniture's in a different configuration because it's not quite right yet.
It's like you're describing my house.
Well, there you go. All right, so that was the thing with that scene. I mean, think about it. It's existed since 1977, and George was still not happy with it. And just before it goes out the door, one more thing. Hang on. So, well, speaking of changes, though, October 23rd. I don't know how we didn't bring this up on the last show, but Disney Parks and Resorts revealed that starting on December 20th, Star Tours Adventures Continue will introduce a brand new ride film, or a brand new version of the ride film. This one, which keys off of the events from Rise of Skywalker, is going to feature a flyover of Keith Bearer. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. An ocean moon that Star Wars fans haven't been to yet, but that we've seen, I guess, from the trailer and the various TV ads, because this is the place with the giant chunk of the Death Star sticking up out of it. So I have to admit, what I like about this is that it drops on the exact same day, Dan, that Star Wars the Rise of Skywalker opens in theaters. So
I
can't
know.
jump ahead. You can't
peek
at, no spoilers, folks. Just sort of like can't go to the park ahead of time.
That's right.
Check that. So
I'm excited. I'm glad that they're still giving some life to Star Tours. I mean, couldn't get more updated than that. So that it kind of puts at ease those of us that were worried that Star Tours was going to fade away. But if they're doing things like this, I mean, I feel like that's a good sign. Now,
I love that you brought up Star Tours, because I'm touching it right now. I have my copy of I Am C-3PO, the inside story, and it's cool to have this. Not quite as cool as actually getting to talk to Anthony Daniels, which you did relatively recently, and not like the 5 to 10 minute long phoner, right? Or
no, yeah, we got to talk for a good 35 minutes or so. And as far as I know, we're the only Star Wars podcast that got an interview with him, so that was pretty great. And he was on Good Morning America, and of course the Star Wars Show and all kinds of things, and on Coffee with Kenobi, which is wonderful. And he is so sincere and sarcastic, and also very kind, and that came through in the interview, which I hope everybody will check out on Coffee with Kenobi. But it also very much, as you know, comes through in his memoir, and it's great. It covers the gamut of everything he's done.
And I love how he writes. I mean, in fact, it's interesting. I love the section in here that actually talks about Star Tours. And in fact, let me see if I can find. Let's see. All right, he talks about it. They shot live action reference that they then used to program the AA figure for the parks, and so he talks about, I stood before the cameras in front of a mock-up of the control console in an otherwise empty studio. That's Tom Fitzgerald, the Imagineer who sort of rode herd in this project. Tom directed my performance as I was instructed and cajoled to have an eye line with the then non-existent R2-D2. I was wearing jeans and a shirt and a sandbag. The latter kept my feet steady in one place. My left leg, the left leg of the animatronic he's talking about, that'd be the conduit for all the wires needed to activate the animatronic figure I would soon become. He's got such a gift for fun phraseology, and again, what I also enjoy about him is he's constantly kind of making fun of himself and this gig.
Yeah, he's self-effacing, but lovingly so. And you're right. His turn of phrase is quite, because you can almost catch sort of a raised eyebrow or a very very subtle smirk in his language. But it doesn't come across as cynical. It's just genuine love of life.
And in fact, what's for me, what's always fascinating about this story is, in fact, just before this section where he talks about doing C-3PO for reference to the Star Tours attraction, it's him talking quite sincerely about, okay, we just finished, Return of the Jedi. This is where I say goodbye to this character. And it's like, no, that's not quite how it worked out. Speaking of saying goodbye, though, Dan, it kind of breaks my heart to share this press release, but did you see this thing about the Star Wars mini lands at Lego?
No, tell me about this.
Oh, okay. It literally says this. Come seek the Force at the Lego Star Wars mini land model display at Legoland as we say goodbye. For 8 years, millions of Legoland guests around the world have enjoyed experiencing the iconic saga by seeing scenes from each of the 7 live-action Star Wars movies, replicated in 1 to 20 scale using 1.5 million Lego bricks. This has been going on since 2011, and well, as of January, these lands are being shut down. And now, have you managed to get into either the Legoland California, the Legoland Florida, or California or Florida to check these out?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have to make the trip, before. And again, they're saying here, folks, it's going to shut down. They're leaving the Legoland parks, and again, that's the phrase. It's not leaving Miniland's leaving not a singular park. It said Legoland parks plural on January 6th, but so the one in California, honestly, they've done set pieces for Naboo, Mustafar, Tatooine, Hoth, Endor, Jakku, and not only that, the Wookiee home planet, which I always have trouble pronouncing,
Kashyyyk,
and
Kashyyyk. Am I right?
See, this is the problem. When you have a name like Hill, you can't. Anything else is impossible to pronounce. And Geonosis.
Geonosis.
Did I get that one right?
Geonosis.
Yeah, but the Naboo one alone for the battle scene with the droids. And and all of the the underwater denizens who come out. Why am I'm blanking his name and his people?
Which character?
Ahmed Best.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar, yes, Jar Jar and his
Gungans,
people.
yes,
Gungans. Yeah, it's this amazing. Hundreds upon hundreds of droids and hundreds upon hundreds of Gungans and replications of all the war machines and the beasts. I mean, honestly, that was the one that sort of introduced what they were going to do for scale. And it kind of breaks my heart because it was so great to go to a Lego park. And what's cool about these things is they have all these little stations where kids can hammer on buttons, and individual ride vehicles or machines will come to life, or sounds that we know and love from the Star Wars films will come to life. And I've got to assume, given that face it, the Legoland parks are considered direct competition both the California and the Florida market for Disney, that I have to assume that Disney withdrew the rights to use them in another theme park, which makes sense given the amount of money that they spent to build Galaxy's Edge.
You just hope that it doesn't impact the relationship between Lego and Star Wars, because Star Wars basically saved that company, just like they did with Marvel back in the 80s, 70s.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just again, folks, you've got till January 6th, and trust me, it's worth the trip if you're a Star Wars fan. And, in the meantime, I'm hoping that some corrupt Legoland employee out there will send me a droid from Naboo, because they're so cool, particularly teeny tiny like that. All right. Anyway, speaking of things that kids love, when Dan and I get back from this commercial break, we're going to touch on a topic that's trifle surreal.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
And we're back. Did I say surreal, Dan?
This reminds me of those duck puns. I like
Well, that's what I'm about to say. This is a complete dad joke because I didn't mean surreal. I meant cereal. Look, we were just talking about Drew Taylor. I do the Fine Tuning podcast with him. And, as part of our coverage of Walt Disney Animation Studios' next would-be blockbuster, Frozen 2, which arrives in theaters November 22nd, I felt that I had to try a bowl of Kellogg's Frozen 2 cereal, which features Olaf and leaf-shaped marshmallows, by the way, Dan. And
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, but the thing is, folks, I'm a diabetic. Okay, so eating a bowl of sugary cereal really is kind of like taking my life in my hands. But I do it for you. I do it for the listeners. So I can report on this stuff. And Dan, I just felt if I was doing it for the Fine Tuning podcast, I should also do it for our show, Looking at Lucasfilm.
Well, aren't you sweet?
I could, particularly after having the cereal, I picked up a box of Star Wars cereal. I don't know if you've seen this yet. They've done a limited edition. This I believe is the General Mills product. Two variations on the box. One version features BB-8 and his new pal Dio. Am I saying that right?
Yep, Dio. Just think of the '80s heavy metal singer Dio. Ronnie James Dio. Yep,
I mean, I've got him right here on my desk. And by the way, I was just reading this week that his look isn't necessarily inspired by Snoopy. I thought so, but it's actually inspired by that Mad Magazine cartoon Spy versus Spy.
Oh, perfect. I love that. Yeah, I can see that.
I can. Well, the thing. So I heard it. Well, of course. Meanwhile, the other box features Kylo Ren with a red Sith trooper by his side, and Star Wars cereal is described on the outside as a fruity flavored cereal with marshmallows and other natural flavors. And I love that the copywriter tried to make, marshmallows sound like, well, they're a natural flavor, because we can all go out to the yard and pick, stuff off of the marshmallow bush.
Well, sure.
And let's see, the marshmallows are shaped like BB-8, R2-D2, Jedi Starfighters, Stormtroopers, and lightsabers. And depending on which box you get, if you get the BB-8 box, you can swap it around to the back, and it has a schematic for an X-Wing, and that with the slogan "Keep the Resistance Flying." But on the other hand, you get the Kylo Ren box. It's got a TIE Fighter and "Keep the First Order Flying." But I don't need to tell you, Dan, that this is not the first time we've gotten a Star Wars cereal.
If I told you the amount of cereal boxes with either Star Wars or Indiana Jones characters that I have in my attic, you might be embarrassed for me.
No. That someday you'll have to come to my home and see the incredible pile of Disney cred. So did you start with the? Oh, what was it? The 2015, the May the 4th announcement. What is it? They actually brought Star Wars cereal back in June of that year, right?
Oh, and I have that box. Yeah, okay. I go all the way back to C-3POs.
Well, now we're going to get to that.
Yes,
In fact, that's what I was kind of intrigued by with the Star Wars cereal that General Mills put out in June of that year. Let's see, that was a fruit-flavored corn puff, and that were supposedly shaped like X-Wing and TIE fighters, and had marshmallow shapes of R2-D2, Yoda, lightsabers, Starfighter, Jedi Starfighters, and Stormtroopers. And also kind of a thing where they were trying to convince you to buy two different boxes, because what was it? One box had Darth Vader, and the other one had Yoda, and there was this whole, choose your side promotion?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then just a few months later, out ahead, of course, of the December release of Force Awakens, two other, cereal boxes This time around, again, oddly enough, BB-8 on one box, Kylo Ren on the other. The inside the box, they lost the Yoda marshmallow, and it was replaced by a little swirly orange marshmallow that was supposed to represent BB-8. What actually really cracked me up is that General Mills went all in at that point to support, the Force Awakens. So it wasn't just these two Star Wars or limited edition Star Wars cereal boxes. There were other ones. Did you get the other boxes with like what? They describe a Cinnamon Toast Crunch box here with TIE fighters who had wings made out of the Cinnamon Toast Squares, or
I had that one, and I had the Honey Nut Cheerios one. Yeah.
So all right, and what Dan's not describing here is Buzzbee. By the way, that is the name of the little honeybee, mascot for Honey Nut Cheerios, Buzzbee. They had him dressed as Darth Vader, and he's wielding a honey dipper as if it were a lightsaber. And then what?
As you do, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. And then on the Trix box, the Trix Rabbit was dressed as Leia, and they sort of rolled up his or her ears like Leia. And Cookie Crisp, the wolf there, was dressed as a stormtrooper and holding a helmet. Now, if we jump back 10 years from there, Kellogg's had the license for a Star Wars cereal, and they did an Episode 3 cereal. And in this case, it was a Sweet Note cereal with marshmallows, and marshmallows shaped like R2-D2, C-3PO, and lightsabers. But the one you have to tell me, Dan, if you have this one. The for 2002, General Mills had the license, and they did an Episode 2 cereal, Clone Crunch.
I did not know about this. 2002 was about the only time I didn't go rabid for Star Wars merch, because I still had Phantom Menace stuff all over the place.
Wow.
I didn't know they had that.
Well, but that's the thing. I love this name, Clone Crunch.
That's great.
But look, that as Dan mentioned just a few minutes ago, the one that started it all was C-3POs. And this hit the market in 1984, and kind of significant timing there, because remember, May of 1983, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, comes out, and it isn't until September of 1985 that the Droids animated series bows as part of ABC's Saturday Morning. And as I understand it, George wanted to keep C-3PO and R2-D2 front of mind between these two projects. At the very least, to help keep up Star Wars merch sales, but also, again, he has genuine affection for these characters. And so he cuts a deal with Kellogg to produce a crunchy honey sweetened oat, wheat, and corn cereal. And I guess the catchphrase for this thing is twin rings phase together for a crunchy new force at breakfast. Does it make you as crazy as it does me, Dan, when people who are writing about Star Wars use Star Trek stuff?
It's either that or when they use a Star Wars verb or something incorrectly, because you can tell they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I definitely notice.
Yeah, again, don't worry. I love Star Wars. I love Star Trek. I just,
don't cross the streams.
Well, there you go. But nobody beams the tattoo, the Tatooine. All right. No. Anyway, by the way, if you go to YouTube right now, there are these, I found at least two of them, these amazing commercials for the Star Wars cereal. And yet they describe the cereal as part of these ads: the excitement, the adventure of a new force at breakfast, 2 crunches with every 00. But getting back to Anthony Daniels' book, The Inside Story, he actually talks about, the cereal effect as he describes it. There's that wonderful section of the book where he's walking. In fact, what's kind of delightful about Anthony is that he doesn't have a lot of Star Wars merchandise in his home. It's just he plays the character, and he doesn't feel the need to fill out his home with every single, C-3PO product that's ever been produced. But in this book, when he's talking about the items he has, he says, Well, one of the favorite pieces he has is a beautiful blue box, a golden 3PO proudly presenting a bowl of fruit and cereal, Kellogg's C3POs. I have a pack of the original product unopened. I wonder what it would taste like some 30 years later. Probably the same. And he goes on to describe the snack started off life as totally unsweetened and healthy, and they were indeed O-shaped. It was a fun play on words, and we shot amusing commercials around exotic Mono Lake in California. Those few tourists who visiting that national park were clearly astounded to find 3PO wandering around with a bunch of rock monsters. And by the way, again, quick side note, we were just talking about Star Trek. You ever seen the one of the feature films that Shatner directed, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier?
Oh yeah, with the weird Wizard of Oz weirdness.
Yeah. Well, the Shatner, when you get behind the scenes on that thing, and you get down to the last 15, 20 minutes of this, the conceit is Captain Kirk has been left behind on the planet in a shuttlecraft, and the shuttlecraft is now being attacked by these rock monsters. And the problem is the budget that Paramount gave Shatner to work with was so small, the effects people were only able to make one rock monster. And, they were supposed to sort of, shoot the rock monster on this side, shoot the rock monster on that side, make it look like a whole bunch of rock monsters. But it was such an awful costume that, they got it on location. It's like, okay, we'll figure this out when you get back to theater. We can't use that. And the irony is that's 1989. All right. And so here they are. They're shooting this, the commercial for C-3POs at Mono Lake in gotta be late 83, early 84. And, that means somewhere there was a warehouse full of rock monster costumes. Someone at Paramount really should have talked to the folks at Lucasfilm. Anyway, getting back to shooting at Mono Lake, and part of the book, Anthony talks about the day they were shooting there. It snowed. And, fortunately, somebody had a hairdryer, on full blast. That's what kept me from freezing to a halt. And he said the finished ads were great, but the product was not so great. And I guess what happened is that because when they began feeding it to kids and they really didn't respond in the focus groups, they then added sugar to the recipes. And then what they did is they decided to glue two of the O's together. And now the new catchphrase for the film, for the cereal, was twin rings of honey sweetened oats fused together for a truly galactic breakfast. And he then goes on to describe how they shot some commercials outside of Las Vegas and the sandy waste there, and how the producers were not amused because now he's working with the new version of the cereal, and how he kept describing them as C-3P8s. And then from there, he talks about the premiere in Tampa where they finally unveiled the cereal, and he in his C-3PO outfit busts out of an 8-foot box and that swirls around on the stage with smoke and lasers but he's what's interesting is the thing he's got at his home now is the box that they used to shoot the box for the cover of the cereal. So they hadn't even, in a weird bend on the world, the box that he has at his house is hand painted. That's wow. the likeness, because they needed to shoot a photo of him holding the cereal box to then put on the cereal box. So he described the day that they're shooting this, that, well, they're only shooting me from the waist up. So he's literally only wearing the top half of the C-3PO costume, and he's in jeans below that. And he's holding, the food items that are going to be shot for the front of the box. And, Kellogg, and both Kellogg's and General Mills use the terminology part of a healthy breakfast. So in other words, if you eat a box or eat a bowl of heavily sugared cereal, but you also eat it with some whole wheat toast and some fruit, you're having a healtly breakfast.
It's all the food groups. By the way, I can vividly remember eating these things often, and while not being super wowed by them, I didn't think they tasted bad. I mean, I think I was in that I need marshmallows in this thing phase. Do we ever grow out of that phase? It's good. It was good. It was good.
Well, but this is the part again, and this is what why I'm as soon as we finish talking here, Dan, I'm going to circle back to reading Inside Story, because he talks about this photo shoot. And again, he's only wearing the top half of the C-3PO outfit, and he's holding the tray, with photo ready food. But this is the problem, that real milk is making the product, the C-3POs, go soggy too fast.
I can vouch for that. Yep. I can totally vouch for that.
Okay, so solution for the photo shoot is they send a tech out. He goes to the local pharmacy and comes back with a bottle of milk of magnesia. And so they now pour that over a new bowl of cereal, and they begin to shoot. And meanwhile, the art director, in between shots, is going in with a Q-tip and moving individual pieces of fruit around in the mix, and trying to make the cereal look as good as possible. But he keeps taking the Q-tip and putting it in his mouth and cleaning it, and then going back and moving the fruit around and the cereal around it. Anthony is like, now I know this guy's got to fly home on the plane tomorrow, and I hope somebody explained to him that milk of magnesia is a laxative.
Oh boy.
But I mean, again, those are the types of stories that that he shares in this book, and
with this wonderfully dry humor too.
Oh, absolutely. And I just, before we close here, I have to ask, that are there any of our listeners out there, like Dan, who have fond memories of C-3POs, or for that matter, Clone Crunch? Somebody has to have eaten this stuff. They got to be able to tell us, what it tasted like. For me, the Star Wars cereal that I just had, again, they describe it as a fruity flavored. Yeah, it did have kind of a citrus base. But again, you're in there for the marshmallows, Dan, and
that's right, and the box art.
Yeah. So, but to circle back on your interview with Anthony. Now, is that live now on Coffee with Kenobi, or?
Yeah, it came out. It's been out for about 10 days or so now. It's done extremely well. We were the featured podcast on Stitcher's podcast app, which was great because it was so successful. Again, it was. I got a good 35 minutes with him. It's awesome. We go through sort of his history with C-3PO and the character. Talk about Star Wars in Concert, which he hosted, which is probably his favorite experience with C-3PO. I even got him to comment on his red arm in The Force Awakens, and I also got him to talk about the trailer very briefly too. So it was pretty fantastic. Definitely check it out and let me know what you think.
I will do that. I would, but coming up this week, what have you got over for Coffee with Kenobi, as well as your many other very interesting podcasts?
Sure. Well, we have Rebecca Roanhorse, the author of Resistance Reborn, which is sort of a prequel to The Rise of Skywalker. We chat with her for a little bit. And then, in fact, later tonight, I'm going to be recording our first review episode of The Mandalorian. We're not having a special like munchies with the Mando or anything like that. We're just going to review all the episodes of The Mandalorian on Coffee with Kenobi. And so be on the lookout for those. After you watch the show half a dozen times, come find us on Coffee with Kenobi. We'll be talking about the episodes.
Okay. And we've got now, okay, just review here. The first week of Disney Plus, they launched on Tuesday with a brand new episode of The Mandalorian. We get episode 2 on Friday the 15th. And then after that, it's every Friday we get a new episode, right?
Basically they're bouncing back and forth because they don't want one to come out the same day as The Rise of Skywalker. But there is definitely a schedule to it. In fact, if we talk amongst ourselves for a few moments, I can pull it up for you and tell you, because I just looked it up earlier today.
Oh, okay.
What else have you watched on Disney Plus, by the way?
Well, so far, again, that's because I have all these other podcasts I do. The Digidish with Len Testa, the Fine Tuning as we went to with Drew Taylor, Universal Joint with Dustin Hughes, and what is it? Of course.
Marvelous.
Podcast.
Yes.
Marvelous to see with Aaron Adams. It was nice to have added a lot of podcasts here. And, of course, the show with Michelle Valladolid. I want that. But, that's what, on opening day, I literally could only carve out time to watch a couple of things. So I watched the first episode of Leslie Iwerk's Imagineering documentary series. And, oh, God, Dan, that was great. And like I obviously watched The Mandalorian, went over and watched a few of the, Spark shorts, to attack the one that I hadn't managed to see yet, Float. I still think out of those, the very best one of the bunch is Kit Bull. But yeah, I'm trying to circle back on, and friends are, like you have been reaching out and just, blithering about things like the Jeff Goldblum show.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is. Okay. I would subscribe to Disney Plus just for that.
Okay. Well, that's as soon as we wrap up here, I'm going to sit on the couch with my Anthony Daniels book in my lap and, multitask, see if I can check out this new Jeff Goldblum thing.
So they come out every Friday. The only one that doesn't is episode 7 that comes out Wednesday, December 18th.
Ah, okay. And you got to respect them for doing that, just sort of clearing the runway for Rise of the Resistance, which undoubtedly Dan and I will talk about on an upcoming episode. But for now, folks, because Dan is also a busy man, and in 5 minutes you have to jump into recording another podcast. So I'm going to shut up now and get off the horn here. But I hope you enjoyed the show, and Dan and I will be back soon, hopefully with a brand new episode of Looking at Lucasfilm. Till then, take care.